What?
That's an old wives' tale that you're going to get into a fight.
If I scratch my nose?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Just don't fight with me. Fight with somebody else.
I'll get in a fight. I don't work for an adult contemporary radio station anymore. I'm allowed to have opinions.
Yeah, you can be edgy now.
I can say fuck on Twitter if I want. And no one's going to tell me I can't.
Mm-hmm. Are we on?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, everybody.
That wasn't a private conversation. I broadcast that.
We were talking about old wives' tales. Like if you drop something, company's coming. These are what my mom told me, so they're maybe her version. But if you drop something, company's coming, and if your nose itches, you're going to get in a fight. And I can't remember any other one.
If your palm itches, you're going to get money.
Ooh. Hi, Mom.
Hey, Mom. Do you have any others?
Yeah, Mom. Do you have any other old wives' tales? We were just talking about them.
What else do we? Oh, if you shiver, like when you get a shiver for no reason, it's because someone walked over your grave.
That's terrifying.
It's actually so the I heard about it from the saying "a goose walked over my grave."
Oh no!
Which is how I think of it, but when I looked it up, it was like someone has walked over your grave, but I think of it as a goose.
That is so gross. Now I shiver a lot. Oh no!
Someone's walking over your grave.
My grave.
You get buried in a high traffic area. Congratulations.
I don't want to be buried is the thing. I want to be in one of those drawer situations.
Okay.
Actually, I want my own little house, but it's expensive.
Like a mausoleum.
If Jude can't afford that, I'll go in a drawer. It's fine.
Do you remember our improv show in the cemetery where the mausoleum was the backdrop?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Oh, my mom said, yeah, I knew that. The black cat under a ladder is bad luck.
Yeah, that's two things.
A lot of people won't adopt black cats because they think that they're bad luck.
Yeah. Count Chocula begs to differ. He's a dark gray, but
yeah,
he's a good luck cat. He's a good dude. What'd your mom say? Wait. Okay, pause. Black cat across your path, bad luck. Also walking under a ladder, bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wonder how that leads to violence against black cats. That's right. Don't walk under a ladder. Right. Don't step on a crack or you'll break your mother's back.
That's right. Oh, Claire, what's Claire? My Grammy used to throw salt over her shoulder. Yes. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. Over the left one.
I thought it read if she spit any, and I was just like, "Was your grandmother a spitter?" Now I get it. Yeah, I knew that. Is it over which shoulder is it? I never knew.
Your left shoulder.
Okay. There's some traditions. Some traditions have like if you eat like pork and sauerkraut on New Year's Eve, it's good luck. And then I forget Portuguese is like grapes or something or olives. I can't remember. I'm doing them a great justice.
We always did pork on New Year's Day.
Yeah, that's what it was, New Year's Day.
Easter. Yeah, and my mother said it was because pigs rut forward and cows rut backwards. Oh. And I don't know if that's right, but that's what she said. What else do we have? Oh, also for New Year's, my Polish grandmother always made us put money half out the window.
Oh.
Because then Spanish is grapes.
That's what it is. Okay.
If you put money halfway out the window, like more comes back in the next year.
My mom had a thing. My mom had the priest. It was like on the New Year, right? Didn't Father Ed write on the house with chalk or something? I can't remember. She'll tell me. Yeah.
It's and funny. You were what? Episcopalian?
What's that?
What were you?
Catholic.
Oh, really? Did we never?
I never heard of it.
I was too.
I never heard of it until I was an adult. And then there's something else where you can take. Oh, I'm forgetting. There's something else on one of the holidays where you take. It's not Palm. It's another holiday where you take something and bring it home. My mom will know. Maybe. I forgot.
I remember that.
House blessing.
House blessing. Yeah, I remember that.
That's a New Year thing, I think. Or is it just when you get a new house? I know that when she came over, she had the chalk, and I think she wrote on my house, my old house. Chalk over the doorways, right.
That's interesting. Our church never did that.
They didn't care about you.
They didn't.
I didn't know about it till I was an adult. Like, I didn't know that at all.
You know what I also think is interesting, and this is kind of related, but it's kind of not, that I think about to this day. When I was really little and I was very scared of like demons and ghosts and stuff, my mother what she said to me was, like, I forget what brought up what I was afraid of, but immediately she looked me in the eye and she said, "We have blessed crucifixes over every bed in this house. You're safe." She didn't say those don't exist. That's not real.
That's what I told you. There are no monsters. We have no monsters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mom. You know what? It was hay. It was hay from the manger. Was it hay? It was hay.
Oh,
It takes some hay. Yeah.
That's interesting. Did we do that? We may have done that.
Anyway, yeah, no, that's funny. I don't remember what my mom probably just said, like, go to bed.
Yeah. My mother was like, no, I put wards up.
Well, I always tell Gina, like, I'm like, no, first of all, there's no monster. It's not what you're picturing is not real. Second of all, we have an alarm on the house. And the only people that are here are you and me and the cats and that ghost that lives here.
Right. And the shadow people. And I may have conjured by listening to murders.
Wait, so you take hay from the manger on Christmas Eve, it brings fortune?
I feel like we may have done that too.
I'm going to go with empty pockets this year.
Yeah.
You need some good fortune.
Like, where did all the hay go? You're like scratching your pants because it's itchy.
You're like fighting people, like.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to our broadcast about Catholicism. No,
this is our podcast about superstitions and religion and traditions. We gave up crime. It was just too dark.
We'd rather Jesus. In the morning when I rise. No. That song, Give Me Jesus. Anyway, I'm Andrea.
I'm Gina.
This is Crime and Cookies.
Crime and Cookies. I'm petting my cat. That's why I keep looking to the side. I'm not doing
That's awesome.
Here. Yeah.
My grandparents had us keep a piece of the straw in our wallets. Oh wow.
Oh, you know what? Just speaking, I know we're past this, but my grandparents, whenever you got a new car, they would come to the back seat of the car and they would take money, like dollars and change out, and throw it into your back seat. And I always kept it under the mat, thinking like, oh, that'll be good luck because it was good luck. Oh. And then come to find out, like, anytime I went to get my car washed, that money would all be
gone. Oh, no. Yeah, it's good luck for the car wash attendants.
Yeah.
We had one week where we would bring our baby Jesuses from our home nativity scenes to get blessed, I think. Oh. I think they did that. It might not be every year. I don't know. It's been a long time.
Your pet can get blessed also.
Yes.
Your pet can also visit Santa, although I don't know this year. Did you see they're using the plexiglass for Santa this year at the mall?
No. Mm-hmm. Oh. God, it's almost that time.
Mm-hmm. Babies everywhere. Like, thank God that creepy Santa doesn't have. What's sad is that I love that, and I wanted you to keep doing that forever. Aww. And he, like a couple years ago, he said to me, he's like, I know that's not the real Santa, and I don't want to sit on some man's lap. And I was like, that's a reasonable.
Fair enough.
That's so reasonable.
Fair enough. Last year or the year before, my dog had a booked radio station appearance at a Pet Pictures with Santa event. So he peed on a planter on the other side of the mall because we got lost.
I love it.
I'm very sorry. Whoever had to clean that up. I'm so sorry. I'm ashamed to this day. No, but he had a ball. We have pictures. I'll have to find them when it's like really holiday time. But I'm holding him and we're sitting on Santa's lap and he's like, ah!
Mom, I think you should take Eddie to get a picture with plexiglass Santa.
Yeah.
Get all little matching Christmas masks. So cute. I would take Bodie, but he would be naughty.
Oh, cool for you, Bode.
I would carry him around in a what do you call it, baby carrier so fast.
My cat. I have a Velcro cat too. He's here though. He's just not.
He's in his
paying attention to me. He's in his office. It's actually the lining of his cat carrier, which he hates. So I'm hoping doing this will help. And I put it on the corner of my desk. So it's like his corner office. And now he'll go there. Instead of bothering me all the time, he only bothers me like 70% of the time.
I love it.
And then 30% of the time he's in his office. He's laying in it now with his face turned toward the wall. I'm like, okay, fine. You don't have to be in here with me
Have we turned all the men away with our talk of cats and superstitions?
Yes. Time to get started.
Every last man is like, this isn't what I thought it was.
Yes.
It's so funny. Next up, Hallmark movies.
Oh, it's almost time for those too. I'm super excited for that.
Oh, yeah, I think I want to get you to do a couple of like the talkback ones where like we watch and he gives comments because his comments are so funny to me. I don't
Yeah.
know if to be funny to anybody else, but he makes me laugh so much when we watch anything that he's just not into. He will just slay whatever.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, anything true crime related happening that you wanted to talk about before we got into the tonight's story?
I'm gonna save it for Friday so we have content. No, I listened to a really good podcast. Ooh, actually, no, I'm gonna say it. This week, the Swindled Podcast. Do you listen to that?
No, maybe
it's about like con men and crooks and schemes.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
This week is about Mother Teresa. Speaking of Catholicism,
that's so weird. I'm gonna
yeah.
Wait, is it a woman who does it?
This one was not, but there may be others because they listed who narrated it.
This is there's a woman who did this. I think it's a different podcast, but she like Paul Holes and Billy Jensen have like every once in a while they'll have like a block of podcasts that they'll do with other podcasters, and this woman did the guy who did In Sync and
yes,
Lou Pearlman.
I forget.
And so she did that with Jensen and Holes. If you get a chance, it is so interesting.
Yeah, he was a nightmare.
Because I was a little too old for that boy band like them. Like I was like more of the age of New Kids on the Block. However, I was aware of them and I didn't know all the stuff with Lou Pearlman, and it is wild.
Yeah.
So if you are interested, that's a great episode. And also this week, which I only found out just now as I was getting ready and listening to Jensen and Holes, that Payne Lindsay is doing with somebody else, I forgot who, is doing a Dead and Gone, it's called, podcast, and it's murders related to like great people who follow the Grateful Dead, which I didn't realize. But like, so the reason it came up in Jensen and Holes is because it's new this week, but also like one of the story, they're telling a series of stories, and one of them was about this girl who went missing who's a deadhead, and they were talking about the difficulty of investigating those because it's a transient lifestyle, and like a lot of times, especially before the internet age people weren't taking those missing people seriously because they were like, well, that's what they do.
Right.
And so this is going to be, I guess, a series all about that. And I didn't realize how all in I would be until I was like way all in on this episode.
Okay.
I was like, oh, now I can't wait for Payne Lindsay, because I never thought about like the transient nature, and like, because they travel around the country, sleep wherever. And you don't think about like that there's not really a trail. Oh, and that most people go by nicknames. And so you know somebody, but you don't know who they really are.
Wow.
I don't know that this is like the slant that he's going with, but that's what they were talking about on Murder Squad. And I was like very intrigued by it. So I was like, this might be really interesting.
That sounds really interesting. I would love, so I have known, I can't wait to, I've been whispering this to people I like trusted for many, many years, but I have known that Mother Teresa is terrible for a long, long time.
Wait, what are you saying?
Mother Teresa is terrible.
No, she's wonderful.
She's terrible.
Andrea.
She's terrible. So I want everyone to listen to this Swindled podcast about Mother Teresa.
Wait, do I have bad information?
You probably got the information that most people have.
Oh,
she is basically an incredibly Catholic, poverty and death and suffering fetishist.
Oh, so in other words,
I know.
In other words, it's it's like a myth where people believe my mom said Jesus.
She was right. Was she canonized all the way, or was she just beatified? They go into the miracles too, and the steps to verify them. And there's like, shady stuff that goes on with
Really?
that.
I don't know if I want to know that. I know I should, but I don't want to know that.
Yeah, she's a butt. Sean knows.
Sean,
Just kind of.
you're a butt.
I'm so glad we let the chat say butt. So we could call Mother Teresa
My
it.
favorite word.
And it's like, and again, that's something I only ever like whispered to people when I thought they'd be cool with the information, because I didn't really have all of that research to prove it. But
I feel like this is the year of me finding out everything I ever believed about everything is a lie.
Ma, you should listen. Listen to the Swindled Podcast episode.
I'll listen. I'll give it a listen because she does not want to hear it.
Okay,
I'll give it a listen
that's fine.
because I will see what they have to say, because I like information.
Yeah.
They
confirm things I already knew.
There was something else there was another thing. We'll talk about on Friday, because I can't really remember fully what I wanted to talk about. What else? Anything else? Is there anything that you want me to prepare for Friday? Anything anyone wants us to talk about on Friday, since we're talking Friday now?
So one of my Instagram followers sent me a recipe for snickerdoodles. So I'm going to make snickerdoodles. Yes. Yeah. And I already have one slight misadventure regarding them, so you get to hear about that.
Okay. I like snickerdoodle misadventures. All right. It's me. It's my turn tonight. So I'm telling a story. And what's funny about this one is I'm gonna pull it up because you just sent me a text, and it's just an ellipses ... I don't.
He's typing.
No. Oh, it's not. That's what he sent me.
Oh, duh.
I'm like, what is that? Anyway, so this is a story that I've heard a long time ago, and I never thought of it as a full full story for me to do. But then I don't know, I just started thinking about it because honestly it's a story that terrifies me, and it's pretty obvious to see why it terrifies me. It's a scary story. But you'll see why I would be afraid of it. Okay. So this is the story of the Boca Raton. I call it
Boca Raton.
That's how people were saying, but I say I don't know how to. Boca Raton, the Boca Raton Mall Murders.
Okay, I've not heard of these.
I think people who live there just call it Boca.
Yeah.
And when I think of it, and this is not to laugh at that thing, but when I think of it, I think of that sign. I don't know if you saw that Seinfeld episode where George's parents want to move to the same place as Jerry's parents. Mm-hmm.
So I think of that too. Del Boca Vista.
There's nothing available in all of Del Boca Vista. I love it. So anyway, that's what I think of. So when they say, because it's a very so for this, I had a while ago listened to this story has popped up in other podcasts as part of other podcasts. So it would be the story of somebody else, but they also tell the story of the Boca Raton murders in it. Okay. So I can't remember if I feel bad because I went to go look at where I had first heard it, because it was a while ago. And I think it was Gen Y, but it might not have been. It was part of something else that I had heard. And I kind of just filed it away under super creepy. And then I had also read about it as part of the Israel Keyes book. It's in the Israel Keyes book. Okay. And then for this, I had also heard it on True Crime Garage, but I'll tell you that's an older episode, before, it was an earlier of their work. So it's not a stronger episode like they have now. I felt they missed a lot of stuff, but it's fine. It's whatever. But then I I found a website by this author called Kenny Deutsch, who's obsessed with this case, and he just dives into it constantly. It's like me with the Frankfurt slasher. He's always in it. He's always talking to people and investigating. And he has this Facebook page that is covered with articles. So I started just systematically going through them. And there's so many that I can't cite all of the stuff. But then what happened was that he talked to the Criminology podcast, which is an excellent podcast. And on criminology, they had a person who helped them. What's her name? I forgot her name. Her name is, it's like, her podcast is like True Crime Diva, I think is her name. And not her given name.
What a good call by her parents. Or darn, she's sure locked into a life she must not want.
You are True Crime Diva, and you're going to live up to that. So she helped them research, and I think from comparing both, it looks like most of the information came from this website. So I listened to the criminology episode, and they interview this Kenny Deutsch guy, Kenny or Kevin, Kevin, basically that's where it looks like all the information came from. So I just wanted to put it out there that I got it from a lot of sources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in 2000, so as I said, hey Spencer.
My dog is downstairs barking at something.
As I said, Boca Raton, Boca R is in Palm Beach County. It's an upscale neighborhood with a low crime rate. And Nancy so it's Nancy. The first crime we're going to talk about is Nancy Bokicchio, and her daughter's name was Joey Bokicchio Hauser. Nancy was born on August 21st, 1960 in the Bronx, and she was raised there. She married Philip Hauser, and they lived in Bensonhurst for a while in Long Island. And at 39, Nancy gave birth to her daughter Joey, which was December 17th, 1999. So at the time of this incident, Joey was 7. She was just about to turn 8. The marriage ended, and in September of 2006.
Hold on, I'll go shush him. I don't know what he's barking at. There must be a fly in the house. Honestly, that's like.
I'll just talk to you guys while she's doing that. Have you been to Boca? I don't know if I've ever actually been there. I know that I've been all over Florida, but I can't really tell you all of the places because I have a lot of family who lives there, but I've heard a lot about Boca. It's very, I think, exclusive, or wants to be exclusive. I can't tell. Big houses, fancy shopping. Oh, I was just giving everybody my opinion about Boca Raton.
Oh, did you see we had a vote for Raton?
Raton. Yeah. So she divorces her husband, and they decide to. So the husband is estranged from them, and so she decides to move her daughter to I think it says Buttonwood Lake Drive in Boca. And they say that Nancy never lost her New York spirit, which pretty much, I mean, I feel like most New Yorkers never lose that spirit.
She was fighting people.
Yeah, you're ready to just drop at any time. You're ready to drop the gloves.
It's very like a Philly thing too. We know, we understand.
Yeah. She was a stock analyst she was very, very talented at what she did. She made a lot of money, and she worked really, really hard to give her daughter the best life. Her daughter went to a private Catholic school, and she was just her whole entire life. She, did everything for her daughter. Her daughter Joey was mature for her age. She was only 7 at the time this happened, and they say instead of chicken nuggets and fries, she would be eating clams and lobster. She was just super fancy, and they called her people who knew her called her the mayor of Boca because she was just so friendly and sweet and just a joyful little kid, and everyone knew them. They had a big social circle. And at the time of the incident, Nancy had been planning a big birthday party for Joey on December 15th at a place called Cafe D'Angelo. And her friend was going to dress up as Santa and surprise her daughter with some gifts. So on Wednesday, December 12th, 2007, Nancy picked Joey up early from school because Joey had a doctor's appointment. And then they went shopping at the town center mall for Christmas gifts. So Joey was going to be in a school concert, and she was going to dress up as a reindeer and I guess present a gift to one of Nancy's friends. I guess it was a friend, but it was somehow related to school or something.
Mm-hmm.
So they went to the mall, and they also love to shop, which is like very, I could relate to all of this. Like, wanting to like get picked up early from school and shopping. Like, I feel like as a kid, that's like one thing that we always did. My mom always did with us. Even if we didn't have money to buy anything, we always went to the mall. So this is a very like New York, New Jersey, Florida type of thing. They enter the mall around 2 p.m. At entrance 4, which was like all the entrances, I guess, are numbered based on security cameras. I don't know why I'm looking over here.
Like all of your entrances at your
See
house.
my Boca Raton map, but it's right here. So they were seen on the security cameras going in at 2 p.m. and they left the same entrance at 3:11 p.m. and they were headed towards Nancy's black SUV, which was a 2007 Chrysler Aspen. I don't know what that is, but I guess it's fancy. There's not a lot that is known about what happens at this point because there are no security cameras in the parking lot and there are no witnesses. Even though it's Christmas time,
it's Christmas at the mall.
And it's midday. It's 3:00 in the afternoon, and there's tons of people at the mall. At 3:14 p.m., so this is like 3 minutes after they left the mall, there was an attempt from Nancy's phone to call 911, but the call was disconnected before the operator picked up, and nobody answered when 911 calls back. And around the same time, Nancy's friend David Stewart calls her cell phone, but a man answers speaking Spanish, and when he hears David's voice, he hangs up. So a little while later, there's some video footage of the bank next to the mall, which shows Nancy making an ATM withdrawal of $500. But as you know, like the ATM videos, you can't see anything. They just saw Nancy. They didn't see the car or who was in it or anything. So, by the way, this is a true crime show, and I'm going to talk about crime, and some of it tonight is a little bit scary and gruesome. So I'll try my best to not, I will do my best. Just by the way, we forgot to say that, but it's coming up. So 9 hours later and just after midnight, a nighttime security guard was patrolling the parking lot and he noticed a black SUV parked with the engine still running. He looks inside and he sees 2 people, a woman and a girl that he thought were sleeping. But he thinks something is off and he called the police. The police never released the name of this security guard, and that guy, Kenny/Kevin, I can't believe I didn't write down his name. It's Kevin. I'm pretty sure it's Kevin Deutsch. Have never been able to find out who the security guard is. So the guard calls the police, and the police come up to the vehicle and they realize the people inside aren't sleeping, that they're dead. And they both have gunshot wounds to the head. Not only that, but they see that they are both duct taped to their seats. Their hands are bound with, I think the mom is bound with a fake, with like not real handcuffs, like kind of like toyish kind of handcuffs. And her feet are zip tied. I think both of their feet are zip tied, and their necks are zip tied to the headrest. So they restricted their movement around the car. The bindings on Nancy's wrist were broken. And they were both wearing yellow motorcycle goggles that were blacked out by like a black spongy material on the inside. So this is like this is an absolute. I mean, now you can see why this terrifies me. It's an absolute horror situation.
It's like jigsaw shit.
Yeah.
You can almost kind of guess at the order in which things were done because of the goggles, I think.
Yeah. Well, you'll see it unfold a little bit, but it's really it's terrifying, and it's honestly it's a woman. I think the thing that upsets me so many times over about this is that it's, first of all, a woman's nightmare. This is like your absolute nightmare, and this is why you never want to go anywhere because it's the middle of the day, very, very this town center is a very exclusive mall. It's kind of like a King of Prussia minus, I think minus like lower end stores. It's all like high end stores. Or
Okay.
I think it's like a King of Prussia, maybe not as big, but a lot of high end stores. Middle of the day, good area, meaning like wealthy, affluent area. You're alone and you're with your kid, which is like, I don't know why, but I always thought in my brain, like if it's better to be with your child than to be alone, because who's going to take you and your child?
Right.
Like,
And it's just harder. Like
yeah.
you're a harder target if there are multiple people.
Yeah, that's children are wild cards. They're inconvenient. They don't do what you want them to do.
And they run real fast.
Yeah. And they scream and they don't listen. They're not going to be like able to keep it cool and stuff like that. So like, I always in general just had in the back of my mind. And then, so when I heard this story and the other that I'm going to tell in a little bit, it was like everything that I thought was keeping me safe, or like, it showed you that you're not safe no matter what you do. And I know that this is rare. We're telling this story because it's like not common, but it's still terrifying that it could, like, that someone conceived of it and did it is terrifying to me. And I've heard of parking lot situations, even around here, like a mom who, like at the local Target, who like got to her car, put her kids in the back, because that's the first thing you usually do, empty out all your stuff, like emptied it, locked her doors, and went to go put the cart away, which is just like what moms do. And she turned around and some guy was trying to open the doors. And if she hadn't locked it.
Right.
So it's just like, it's like when you hear stuff like that, it just makes, like, I honestly have been so terrified of that since I heard it. And that was years ago. But it's just like, you have to be so careful. And then like, I told that story a while ago about like the rapist, the guy Tim Cole, who was like wrongly convicted of rape, but how like the other guy who was doing it was like getting the women to roll down their window and then like opening the car door, like all that stuff. Like, it's terrifying. I don't know how you feel. Yeah. I feel like it's always terrified me my whole life. I've heard these stories my whole life. And I've always been so terrified, especially at the mall, to like, I always check my back seat before I get in it.
Yeah, so
my backpack, like where where like the trunk, but it's all open in an SUV. I always check it. And so, I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I just feel like I've been terrorized by this my entire life. And this story reinforces like all those fears that I have.
Yeah. I definitely check the back. Have you ever read, we've talked about this. I've told you about the book, The Gift of Fear, right? Yeah. You should read it.
I know.
Very good. It's very good.
I'm so bad about like putting things on my list and then being like, I'll read it. I should listen to it, because then I'll listen to it.
Yeah. It's, I mean, for anyone, very, very quickly, for anyone who doesn't know, it's called The Gift of Fear. And it was written by a guy who did like, I think it was like hostage negotiation, or like he worked with stalkers and stuff. And it's basically about how a lot of times we have instincts that tell us to avoid people or places or something because it feels weird, it feels off. Or like we sense something that we can't really put into words, and how to like listen to it.
Yeah.
It's very good.
I think my thought is always like, am I overly sensitive because I love this stuff? Right. So I'm like hyper, like if I think something is, if I hear one thing, I'm just like I've already told Judy's not allowed to go to any parties on any like decks in college because I'm afraid.
No, that's good advice.
I mean, he's only like 9, but I'm already like, never ever go on a deck party when you're in college.
Is going to have a lifelong fear of decks now. Congratulations. Congratulations.
I told him it's like rickety decks at college houses are just not stable. Because like you always hear of them collapsing. And like, so like I just have a repertoire of things Jude is never, which by the way, he's going to get to college, probably pierce everying and then get
on every deck.
On the first deck he finds.
He's going to have a blog of just him on decks.
Screw you, Mom. And it's just, I know I shouldn't do that to him, but it's like you just get all these stupid fears. And then So this one time I went to King of Prussia Mall, and for anybody who's not familiar, local people will know, but if you're not local, it's huge, ridiculous mall. It used to be two separate huge malls. Now it's one. It's so exhausting that honestly, every time I go there, I'm like, please, as soon as I'm there for like 20 minutes and I'm like, please get me out of here. I feel like I'm going to just like scream. I would just stand there and scream probably if you left me there. Like I can't. It's so big. There's so many people. It's people from all over who like, because they have every high-end store you could think about.
They have every store.
Anything that you need in the world. If you can't get it at King of Prussia Mall, then just give up.
You don't need it. Yeah.
You don't need it.
One of my boyfriend's parents came from rural West Virginia, and that was on their list. They were like, take us to the King of Prussia Mall. I was like, no.
Yeah, it's the worst. So one time in college, I went there. So this would have been before. The malls only just recently were put together, and they were recently redone. Like when I was in college, they were redone. But anyway, I went there one day in college, or it might have been college or like in between college and graduate school, like somewhere around. I was young. I was like in my 20s. And I went there in my shitty Honda Civic, and I parked, wherever, and I just walked in.
Yeah.
And so this is going to sound weird, and I haven't told like many people this story because I always felt like I sound like it sounds made up, but it's not, and like, or that I invented it, but I didn't.
Okay.
So I was walking in, and as I was walking in, somebody else like was like meandering in after me, and like I felt like they were kind of like walking not at my pace, but slower, so that we were sort of like walking in together. And I noticed this person because it was a man in a costume, and I don't mean like a costume like a Halloween costume. Like he had a wig on and like weird clothes that didn't fit right. Like there was something very off about him. Like I can tell he was wearing a disguise, not a costume.
Okay. Disguise. Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. And I'm telling you that this mall is huge, and everywhere I went in it, he was there.
Ooh.
So like I stopped to look at something, and he would be like, if I stopped at a counter to look at something, he would be on the other end of the counter. If I was in a store, he kept walking past the store. Like he was literally to the point where, and there was something really weird. Like he was wearing a very long wig. It almost looked like he was trying to look like a woman, but in no way was just, living his truth and dressing like a woman. Like it looked like a disguise. Like it looked like a very poor disguise. It almost looked like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, but with like a super long, like scraggly wig. It was very weird. So I just get progressively more and more uncomfortable because I'm like, this is a huge mall. How could he be in every store that I am?
Especially walking back and forth. That that's
like there's no way that we have the same path in this mall, especially because I'm like a very ADD shopper where I'm like, oh, I'm going to look in the Gap. Oh, now that I'm in the Gap, I realize I want, I don't know, like a sweater that has this specific thing on it. I'm going to go look in this place. Oh, now that I'm here, I see these shoes. I'm going to like, I don't have like a set plan. I sort of like improvise as I'm shopping. So it'd be very weird that somebody else had the exact same plan that I did.
Yeah.
So he was just everywhere. And so by the time I got back to whatever the anchor store is that I walked in, I was terrified and I didn't want to leave by myself. And so I had to go and ask the security guard if they would walk me out. And I can remember that I think they thought that I was like insane. But like, and I remember the guy was like in the same anchor store as I was leaving, but he saw me leaving with it. And so like I got to my car safe and I felt embarrassed and like I remember feeling embarrassed for asking. I remember like not wanting to tell anybody because I thought they wouldn't believe me. But I remember being like so relieved that I was able to leave the mall safely and not feeling safe about going back there for a really long time.
Yeah.
And even now, if I go, I feel scared.
You remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you made the absolute right call, and I think your feelings were valid. And I think if you read The Gift of Fear, you'll feel a lot more validated by that. Yeah. Like when you feel creeped out for no reason, it could be, according to this book, it could be that your brain feels something or has realized something that it doesn't have like words for to be able to tell you in time.
Yeah.
You just get like a weird alarm bell.
Yeah. Because like somebody in a disguise middle of, like, I'm telling you, it was not like it was not like his dress. It was like clearly something really weird was
So
up.
that they won't be able to be like, the suspect was caught on cameras.
Yeah,
And let's
because if he was on cameras, it would just be like, yeah.
God, you did the right thing. Always go with your instincts. That's right.
You have to. And so, like, yeah, sometimes I think I'm overly cautious, but I'm like, you know what? I'd rather be alive. Like,
Yeah.
so
Always follow
anyway,
your instinct.
this story, like, it just resonates with me so much because I remember that story and it, like, it gives me such creeps. Like, and, you know, maybe he was just like a normal guy and like maybe that's his terrible hair.
But
like,
then why did you keep seeing him?
Why was he everywhere that I was in? Why didn't
Right.
he come in at the same time as I didn't
Right.
leave at the same time? Like, it just wasn't matching up.
You probably wouldn't have gotten that weird feeling if it was just some guy dressing like that.
Yeah. And he always seemed like he was like waiting for me. And it was just, I hated it. And I was like young and small and, you know. So anyway, so where was I? Okay, so they find them, they're dead. They have so they asked on the news, like, if anyone like had seen, I told you about the motorcycle. So the police released the picture of the motorcycle glasses and asked if they're unusual looking and asked if anyone knows somebody who owned them or whatever. And they have no idea when these two were shot or when the SUV was returned to the parking lot because like there was a 9-hour gap. And they think
do they know the car left?
They know the car left because she went to the bank.
Oh, right. Okay.
But that's it. And so like it was undetected for hours. And it's kind of weird because after midnight, there's a limited amount of cars in the parking. I'm just surprised that car could be left running for 9 hours and nobody said anything.
Yeah.
And they say like the door was like ajar. I just think it's weird unless people looked in and thought like, oh, that's a mom and daughter sleeping, or I don't want to get involved, or I don't know.
If they were duct taped to the headrest, though.
They were zip tied to the headrest.
Zip tied. Yeah, you might not be able to see that from outside.
Yeah. You think you'd see the gunshot, but maybe not. Like maybe if you're not looking, maybe if you just glance in and you're just like, oh, it's a mom and her kid. She's putting the kid in the seat or whatever. I mean, a 7-year-old is sitting in a booster seat at that point, not a
say something from Harrison.
Yeah. And you don't know when the car's returned. You're right. The police think it was there for hours, but I mean, who knows? So, so the police thought this might be linked to other crimes that had similarities. So earlier in the year, March 23rd, 2007, a woman named Randy Gorenberg was 52-year-old Randy Gorenberg went to the same mall, Town Center Mall. This is so sad to me. I don't know why this bothers me so much, but she went there to buy a John Legend CD because that morning she watched the Today Show and saw John Lennon. Hi. Oh my God, Gina, get it together. Saw John Legend and liked his album so much that she went to the mall. And I was like, holy shit, like, imagine like you see something and you're just like, oh, I'm going to go buy that today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's just the word. Like, what a stupid thing.
But yeah, what a random.
Like, that's the whole reason she went there was to buy a John Legend CD. And it's just, and if it was today, you would just
download it.
Yeah, you download it. So it's just like so weird I don't know why that detail is haunting to me, but it's like the choices you make are so stupid in life. Like
because there are so many coincidences that line up. If she hadn't seen him on the Today Show that morning, she wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
If she didn't like it, she wouldn't have been there. Like,
and it also haunts me because it's like that's the last thing you did. It's just
But she was really happy.
Yeah, you're right. She's
having a good day.
Like I could see myself doing like not the exact same thing, but like 2007 me, I would probably do something similar. Like stopping at Old Navy is very my brand. Like I do it all the time. So it's just such a weird detail that I was like, it makes her so real to me. Anyway, she was seen on surveillance leaving the mall at 1:15 p.m. They know from her records that she stopped to check her voicemails, and then she headed. They think there's no security cameras in the parking lot, which is unbelievable. That she had a black Mercedes SUV, and so she would have been headed toward that. Less than an hour later, witnesses at a park in Delray Beach see her SUV peeling out of a park. They heard a gunshot, and they see Randy being dumped out of a car. And she has a fatal gunshot wound. The suspect driving the car leaves it at a local Home Depot and is never found. So Randy was a wife. Now her story has some intrigue to it, and there's speculation that her crime is not related to the other. However, there are similarities, but there's enough differences to put a question mark. Also, this would have been the first in this series that they know of. So they were thinking if maybe the pattern changed or whatever. But so she was a wife and a mother of two. Her husband was Stuart Gorenberg, and who was a successful chiropractor. She, like, by all accounts from the outside, looked like she had a storybook life. Another weird detail is that she grew up in Brooklyn, and the other woman grew up in New York as well. So it might just be a weird thing. It's Florida, so I feel like most people
right. You're from New York or you're from Philly?
But it is interesting,
especially in Boca.
Yeah, right. Nothing available.
Not a single thing.
So, and then she had a very affluent life. So they think around 30. So it was around 39 minutes after she exited the mall that someone called 911 and said they actually heard two gunshots and witnessed a woman fall out of an SUV. And it was Governor Lawton Childs Park Memorial in Delray Beach, which is just outside of Boca. And what's funny about that name is I tried to search it phonetically, and it's nowhere near what it sounds.
Oh no, it's a Southern name. It's a very Southern name.
Yes, it's Lawton Childs, and I was like, Lawton Child. I went very English, and it was not an English name.
My cat is here.
It was a fun little distraction for me to find the name of that place. And the witness told the operator that the woman was dead. I don't know how he knew, but probably because she was
moving. Yeah.
And it's unclear whether she fell out or she was trying to get out of the car to escape. Because I probably would try to jump out of the car too if I had been kidnapped.
Right.
So take your chances. But we don't know. And so that could make the MO different. Because if she jumped out, that's somebody who just complicates your plan. That's threw her out. That's a completely different thing.
Right.
So, and the park was about 5.5 miles from the mall. So the police find her, and then they find her car minutes later, abandoned behind the Home Depot. Her purse, her cell phone, and her shoes. She had black and white Puma shoes that were missing and never found.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'll get to that. The security cameras in the parking lot also captured. They didn't catch the guy or guys, but they did capture. So when the SUV entered the parking lot, right behind it was a white Chrysler 300. So they don't know if those two. Like that the second person was picking up the first person, but you would think like, how is he getting away? The police thought that she said she was kidnapped at the mall and tried to jump, but no idea what happened between the two places. So she had married her husband in 1979, had two kids named Daniel and Suri. Her husband was a very successful chiropractor, and they lived in a $2 million home in 2007. So
that's fancy.
That's fancy indeed. She volunteered a lot. She spent her time volunteering, and then her mom moved to Florida. Her dad died, so her mom moved to Florida to be closer with her, and they basically were inseparable. They spent all their time mostly together. I'm so glad her mom wasn't with her on the day that the mall. 2 hours. Like, Harrison, just wait. You're right, but just wait. So 2 hours after the murder, the detective spotted Randy's son, Daniel Gorenberg. He was 25, behaving strangely. He was driving very fast he was driving fast around the neighborhood and then drove into the family home. He removed from his trunk like a spray bottle and some paper towels. I need to like
Get your improv spray bottle and your improv towel. You're good at doing object work. I always forget it. I always forget
I'm doing it to jog my memory. When I'm 80, I'm gonna be like, it's paper towels.
Be like, Grandma, use your improv phone.
Grandma, that's not an improv gun. You're
that's a finger gun.
So he was seen pacing and smoking.
Yes, hello.
In the front yard, and the police thought it was suspicious, especially because he hadn't yet been notified of his mom's passing.
Mm-hmm.
When they asked him where he was during the time of his mother's murder, he said he was working, but when police called his work to verify it, they said he wasn't there. And then when they asked for his clothes that he was wearing on the day, he gave them the wrong ones.
Oh.
So they were like,
That's real suspicious.
Yeah. Police were also suspicious of the husband after they told him, and this was on I guess this was on Dateline, and they said one of the officers said on Dateline that he didn't have a typical reaction, but as we know, not everybody does.
Right. There's no such thing as a typical reaction.
So, but days after the murder, this husband and son lawyered up and stopped cooperating. Their lawyer said they had nothing to do with the murder. Her daughter, whom she was also very close with, Suri, and her mom, Heidi, called a news conference asking for the public's help, but the husband and the son did not show up. And so the police kept looking into them, but never found anything that would connect them to the crime. In August 2007, Daniel was arrested for buying prescription drugs. Like he was I guess he had a forged script or something.
Yeah.
And he had an addiction that his lawyer said worsened after his mom's death. But later charges were dropped when he came to some agreement with the court. And then in 2008, so all this came to light because the police started investigating them. So
right.
Started digging.
Right.
So in 2008, Sarah Stewart was arrested because the Florida Department of Financial Services realized that he was billing patients twice on days when he didn't come in. So he was committing insurance fraud.
Wow.
And the charges were dropped, but I'm sure his reputation, I'm sure they didn't stay in that $2 million.
Yeah.
Sorry, Stewart. There's another reason I don't care for him, but I don't know when I get to it, so I'll just hold on.
Okay.
If I sound like I'm like a real bitch at Stewart, and you're like, what did he do besides insurance?
Besides all the fraud.
Daniel, I will say, and I want to be clear that Daniel and Stewart were never official suspects. They were never ruled out. They tried to match through DNA, but nothing. They couldn't make a match. Oh, something else so this is the part that I don't like. So her husband was also seeing sex workers before and after her death. So that's why I don't really like Stewart. And he wasted no time. It was within a month after her death. Back on the old bullshit. So it doesn't seem like he's really mourning his wife and, being a real shitbag. So a few months after Randy's murder, on Tuesday, August 7th, 2007, a 30-year-old mother, and she goes by Jane Doe, and you'll see why, and her 2-year-old son, and this is the one that gets me, go to the mall, to the town center mall, and they leave, and they get in the back of, she has a Lincoln Navigator, another black SUV. So she puts her baby, this is exactly what I would do. She puts her baby in the back seat because he's 2. She puts him away. She puts him away.
She stows him in the trunk.
She folds him. And then she puts him in the seat. And then she goes and puts the stroller in the trunk. And when she comes around to get in, she hears her son whimper, "Mama, Mama."
Oh,
and
no.
she looks into the vehicle, and there is a man in sunglasses and a floppy hat sitting in the back seat and holding a gun at her son. And he tells her to get in. And I hate that so much. It gives me
Holy shit.
It makes me feel like I'm going to throw up, honestly. It's horrible.
How? Right. And she didn't even see him.
No, that's what they're saying. Like, was he ducking down? Right. And this gives you insight into maybe what happened with Nancy and her daughter Joey, because it's sort of like, it's what you do. Like you put your kid in and then you put your thing in. Like, you don't think in a minute, like, and maybe, who knows, maybe he was crouching down on the other side of the car all along and she didn't see him. Or maybe,
right. That's another question. Like, how long was he crouching and would someone have seen him? Like, where did he approach from?
they had no idea. He was just sitting in her car when she, after, and like, the weird thing too is, like, when you're putting your stroller in your trunk, you can see in the car. It's not like you can see all the way through. So I'm like, how did he get in there? And she didn't see anything, but it must have been like, he must have planned it. So he was really planned at the time of like her closing the trunk and walking around to getting in the car. So he like super planned. It's terrifying. It's absolutely, to me, it's probably the scariest thing, because it's the life of her son that's being threatened. Like, you want to take me, kill me, fine. I've lived enough. It's fine. But you put my son in the mix, and then it's like, like, when I think of this, it's just, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. But obviously she's going to listen to him because he's pointing a gun at her little baby.
Right.
So, and then the other thing that they're thinking is like, so he's targeting clearly Black luxury SUVs. So like, is he stalking ahead of time?
Is he just at the mall and sees someone? Like,
is he at the mall and sees someone, or is he deliberately like looking for people who fit a type, or is he just walking around the parking lot looking for car seats? Like, I don't know.
Right.
So, he orders her to drive to a bank. I wrote a back. He to a bank, and he has her take out $200. And then he does this at 2 other banks. And why the banks are not like red flagging this, I don't know. But so she drives to 3 banks, and then she drives to a 4th bank, and he wants her to take out $800, but she's denied. So
that's over the limit. That's over the daily limit.
And I don't know. You would think, I would hope that if my bank saw me driving to 4 different banks, and trying to get out that much money, that they would flag me, right? Like, my credit card company has done that. Like, did you make this purchase? This doesn't seem like you. And they send me a text. So it's really weird. I mean, it's 2007, maybe. Maybe that's why.
I know. I mean, credit card companies were doing that. We were on vacation, same boyfriend whose parents wanted to visit the mall. We were on vacation in Pittsburgh, and his card got declined, and his bank was like, yeah, we noticed purchases just going right across the state. He's like, yeah, we drove across the state. Yeah. But yeah.
Who knows? But anyway, so she's just cooperating. She's doing everything he says. But when the $800 is denied, she starts to become terrified that he's going to kill her and her son. And so she starts pleading for her life and her son's life. And the man told her if she does what he says, that he will take her back to the mall. So he tells her to pull out into traffic. And at this time, because of the movement of the car and the age of the baby, he falls asleep. And the mom is just like the whole time begging and pleading, like, please don't kill us. Please don't kill us. And he tells her, I'm not going to. I don't need any more problems than I already have, or more trouble than I'm already in. And then he makes her pull into a hotel parking lot. He tells her to like switch seats with him so he can drive. And she gets in the back seat with her son, like happy to get with her son.
Right, yeah.
He takes out the handcuffs and cuffs her hands behind her back. And then he zip ties her hands and her feet together. And he zip ties her neck to the headrest. But when he does that, it's too tight. And she starts choking and like just sobbing uncontrollably. And she thinks she's going to die. So he loosens it for her. And he says, is this better? And she says, yes, which is weird.
Wow.
And then he puts these darkened sunglasses on that she thinks were darkened on the inside with duct tape, so she can see a little bit, but she can't see it and like enough. And he drives for a little bit, and then he stops and he reaches into a plastic bag and pulls out a knife, and he cuts off the zip tie around her neck, so her neck is free.
That's interesting. Then why is it tight in the first place?
I know. I guess
unless he changed his mind.
It's weird that he panicked when she panicked and was nice to her, but who knows? They say she was like a model, former Hooters waitress. Not that that means anything, but like maybe I don't know. Maybe and she was really gregarious. Who knows? Maybe I don't know. Maybe he thought they'd get married.
Yeah, right. He's like, by the way, can I have your number? No, what? No.
So he starts driving again, but he accidentally gets onto the Florida Turnpike. Oh, and she has the impression that he doesn't know the area because he gets really mad when he accidentally gets on the turnpike. And another weird detail is like that he has to turn around, and when he turns around, like when he gets them off the turnpike, the baby's bottle rolls and falls, and then the baby starts crying, and he actually like gets the bottle, like finds it and gives it to the kid. It's like really weird. Like he's doing nice things for them, even though he's doing terrible things to them. So
nothing good happens on the Florida Turnpike.
No. So when the car stops, they realize that she's back at the mall, and he zip ties her neck again to the headrest. And he tells her that he'll let her call someone to say her car broke down and that they need to come get her. So she calls the dad of the kid or her husband or whoever it is, the person. And she calls a person. This ready for the specific details. She calls a person.
Oh my God.
And and then when she hangs up, the killer or the kidnapper tells her that when the police come, that she is supposed to describe him as a short, fat black man. Even though he is a
white man,
white or Hispanic, she's not sure. And he's wearing a floppy hat, big sunglasses or wraparound sunglasses, and they say like he had a ponytail, but that could be a fake. Like they don't know if it's a ponytail. A ponytail. And then he tells her, and then he takes off her sunglasses and puts on goggles that are like the motorcycle ones that are completely blacked out, so she can't see at all. And then he tells her if he sees his face on the news or even a description on the news, that he'll come after her. And then she hears the door shut and leaves. Wow. So she waits a couple of seconds, and then she frees herself again because those the handcuffs are fake. Like they're not. So I guess she's able to break them, or maybe just her mother's strength, or who knows. But she immediately gets out of the handcuffs and goes to the valet at the mall and has them call the police. Like she doesn't wait for the person she called to come get her. She's like immediately.
Right. Yeah.
And the police arrive, but also Jane Doe believes that she wasn't killed because she did everything he asked, and she didn't resist or fight back with him, and she was like trying to be like quote unquote friendly to him.
That thing where you try to make them see you as a person. Yeah.
As a person. That's what she's doing with her son and everything like that. But she's always stayed as Jane Doe because she's terrified. She says like this guy, Kevin, had the opportunity to interview her, and she said that she still has nightmares every night.
Of course.
I would too. I have nightmares.
Yeah. That's a prolonged experience. That's a prolonged acute feeling of thinking you are going to die.
Yes. And your son,
and your child. Yeah.
Your child is like your life, your whole life. Like they're you, but better. Yeah, it's true. Like that's how I described Jude. He's like part of me, but he's like a way better person.
Oh. And
I like even the thought of anything, even the thought of like me accidentally bumping into him. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like I can't imagine. I'd never want anything bad to happen. So it's just like unbelievable, like emotional distress for her. So this is extra traumatic because the police arrive and they think she's lying. They think that there's no way she could have got out of handcuffs, and the SunPass didn't register an entrance to the turnpike, which they later found out was a malfunction. with the sun
Oh,
pass.
weird.
Yeah.
That's random.
Yeah. But so they didn't believe her, and they didn't believe her so much that they made her take a polygraph.
Jesus Christ.
And
why would you make that up?
Yeah, I know.
Why would you make it up and then say that they returned you? Like, create this whole thing and then be like, oh no, and they returned me.
Mm-hmm. And she, they called it an alleged abduction, and it was barely publicized anywhere.
Wow.
So then, of course, because it wasn't publicized, when it happens again in December, that's the only time they take her seriously, is because it happened again. And that's why, I think the second one happened, because they didn't take the first one seriously.
Right. Harrison's saying the non-belief is another violation. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's its own separate trauma. Yeah.
Think about yourself. Like, that is a hot trigger for me when people don't believe me.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Seriously. Like, it's like when somebody doesn't take me seriously or listen to me, like, especially if someone's not listening to me, it sends me into so I can only imagine having that kind of trauma, and then like the police, the people who are supposed to protect you, don't listen to you, right, and think you're making it up. But anyway, so in 2007, right before Joey and Nancy die, a detective actually called Jane Doe for her help, because he was wondering if there was a connection between Randy and Jane Doe's case. And they had her do a sketch, but Jane Doe was really unhappy with the sketch. She said it didn't look like him at all. But there were some things that were not the same. Randy wasn't restrained in her car, but she possibly jumped out of it. And the primary reason why she didn't withdraw any money is because Randy didn't carry an ATM card.
Oh.
So it's unclear if it's a completely different person, or if it just the circumstances made it look completely different.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot in common. Like, there's enough in common that it's probably related.
Yeah. It's a weird coincidence, if not. As I said, she was emotionally broken. She thinks about it every night. She believes that he wanted to kill her, but that she was able to keep her cool, and that's why she didn't. And the police do believe that Nancy fought back, and that's why she was killed, because she had that personality. And also, she calls within a second. She's calling 911, and he probably caught her call in. So
that might have even been it. I mean,
that could be it. You don't know. So the FBI, the Boca PD, and the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, I'm trying to think of what my acronym means, formed it. This is according to that writer. He talks about this on the podcast, and he says that they formed a task force, and they had a lot of questions like, did this guy work at the mall? Because he knew about like where the security cameras would and wouldn't be.
Right.
Were the victims chosen specifically? Were they stalked or chosen at random? But then egos started to get big in the investigation, and the task force falls apart after brief time. So in public, they all focus on like the crime that took place in their county or their area, but behind closed door, they believe that there are links. I don't know why that benefits anybody.
Yeah.
It seems like a total train wreck. A week after Nancy's murder, her credit cards and phone are found by two homeless men, like respectively, they're not together, in Miami, which is 50 miles about from the mall. David Goodman was the first person. He had her credit cards. He was arrested on a warrant for something else, and that's how they found out. And then the other guy was Charles Jackson, who found her cell phone, but he was completely cooperative and provided info for like a follow-up. And they hit a dead end and didn't think that they had anything. It'd be weird if two homeless men made their way an hour north to kill, and it doesn't fit the description. These were black men.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense, but it does make sense that if you were going to get rid of something and you knew there was a heavy homeless population in an area, that's where you would, and you had access to that place.
Yeah, it's a big city. There's just a lot of everything.
Yeah. If there's a highly concentrated homeless population and you're leaving credit cards and phones and snacks there, you know what I mean? Like there's a chance somebody's going to pick it up because I mean, that's what you're intending to happen.
Yeah.
On True Crime Garage, they say that Randy's credit cards were also used in another state, but they don't say anything about that on Criminology, and I didn't find that on the Facebook page. The reward after Nancy and Joey die goes up to the largest offered, I think, in all time in Florida, or close to that. It's like $400,000. So then tips start pouring in. There are tips that Daniel Gorenberg, which is the son of Randy, was pawning high-end jewelry. But when they went to get footage from the shop, it had already been erased. And some of his friends who were also suffering from addiction, they tried to question some of them. Some were in rehab and wouldn't share their DNA, but everything was a dead end. They never found anything. The police, according to this writer, police are using a piece of Florida public records law as a way to cite an ongoing investigation as a reason not to release, like right to know or FOIA request.
Yeah.
For 12 years, there's not been any other release of information about these crimes that we can find out. They tried to share information on local and national TV. According to the Criminology podcast, this story was on America's Most Wanted 3 times between December 2007 and February 2008.
Wow.
And that they'd even commissioned a forensic artist to enhance the sketch. And Jane Doe worked with the person and thought it was better. The sketch was better the second time around. When looking for similar crimes, this is also on Criminology, the police found that in August 2007, so this would be 3 days after, I think it was August 10th, 2007, 3 days after the abduction of Jane Doe, just after midnight, which is, I think, a weird time, but whatever, a woman told police that a man pulled a gun on her when she unlocked her car on the second level of Meisner Park, which is another fancy mall in the Boca area. I don't know why it was after midnight. That part.
Did she work there?
Maybe she works there. Maybe she had dinner afterwards and got dropped off. You know, who knows?
Yeah, maybe people were driving somewhere far and they were going to carpool, so they met at the mall and then. Yeah,
it could very well be. But so this, I don't know why this story it's not an amusing thing that happens to her, but it's amusing because a man pulls a gun on her and tells her to get in her vehicle, and she just flat out refuses and throws $200 at him and tells him to go away. I'm like,
good for you.
He's a bad bitch. Like, and he does. And I'm like,
there you go. Good for you.
Yeah, like that works. Now you know you need emergency money for like for telling abductors to go
kidnapper cash.
He probably thought like, hey, I'm getting $200 and I don't have to go through the whole thing.
Right. Yeah.
I love that she was just like, go away.
Yeah.
Amazing. But they say don't get in a car. Like, I think the only reason it worked if the other two is because they had kids. The police tried to get that woman to talk and fill out a police report, but she refused until Nancy had died. But then when the Sun Sentinel received a copy of the report, the age of the woman, the make and model of her car, the method that he used to rob her, details of the robbery were all redacted. So it was just like, it was probably like, woman was attempted. Like,
yeah.
Like nothing,
just, I don't know. A thing happened at some point.
At Blank Mall.
Keep your eye out for redacted.
Oh my God, that's exactly what it said. They're just like, what? Tell me, we can't. But just be careful because
we're going to make it worse in our heads.
Yeah. In March 23rd, so 1 year exactly before, 52-year-old Cynthia Moffett was robbed and shot to death outside of Forest Oaks Golf Club as she worked there. in Lake Worth, Florida, and she worked there, but she lived in Boca, and the crime happened between 5 and 6 p.m., but they never found any connection, but they thought, I guess they were just grabbing at anything that was sort of similar in the area.
Right. Because you never know where a clue will come from.
Yeah, exactly. And it could be like, you just don't know. On True Crime Garage, they were saying, like, what if this guy is a serial killer, but he needed money, and that's why he did these other crimes? Like, it could be any, like, you don't really know, because it was a robbery of that other woman. The public was understandably upset that police didn't let the public know about Jane Doe, and that they weren't working well together. There was a break in Randy Goldberg's case. Randy Goldberg. That's somebody. That's not it. That's a person I did improv. Okay. Randy.
You wrote these down too.
No, I wrote an acronyms.
Oh.
Lazy. Randy Gorenberg is a long name to write. Police had a break in Randy Gorenberg's case in 2011. So a guy named Michael Barrera was a Miami-Dade gang member, part of the Salvadorian gang MS-13. And a jailhouse informant heard members taking responsibility for Randy's murder and pointed the finger at this Barrera guy as the hitman. But he was the fugitive at the time, wanted for bank robbery and attempted murder. And he also drove a white 300 Chrysler sedan, which you remember is the car that followed. Mm-hmm. But the police couldn't find any evidence, like hard evidence linking them together. And according to criminology, it's unclear if that guy was ever apprehended, the Michael Barrera guy. And if he's watching, Godspeed, no judgment. You do you.
What if the whole thing was an MS-13 or some other gang initiation, and they weren't the same perpetrator? Mm-hmm. They were just similar crimes.
Could be. I mean, it could be. That reminds me, I don't know if any of y'all listen to Small Town Dicks, but they used to have two hosts, and I forget, two female hosts, and I forget the name of the other. She left, and I cannot remember her name. But in one episode, she talks about an incident where she gets home. It's late at night, and she lives in LA somewhere. She's an actress. And she gets home, and she just sits in her car because she's doing something in her car. So she was sitting in her car for a little bit. And when she gets out to go inside, two men come out from under her car.
Holy shit.
And pick her up.
Holy shit.
Like legs and arms to take her.
Shit.
She's like begging for her life. And finally, the one guy decides to. Anyway, it's a complicated. It's a short story, but it's complicated. But at the gist of it is that it was a gang initiation, and that they just figured like this wasn't the person to do it to.
Yeah. They say that book says, be difficult.
Yeah.
And never go to a second location.
Yeah.
It actually says make them kill you there.
Yeah.
Because the second location where they're trying to get you to is where they have the plan set up and where they have everything thought through. Mm-hmm. And if you can interfere enough, if you can resist enough, sometimes they're just like, it's not worth it.
Yeah. This story, that scared me too, because she was like innocently sitting in her car. Like, you know how you sometimes park and you're just like, oh, I'm going to look at my phone. Yeah. I do that all the time. And one of the cops on the show, or the detectives on the show, was like, never sit in your car. He's like, get where you're going, get out of your car. He's like, because that is a,
killers can't improvise. Should take a virtual class at Fit.
But that is like a telltale. Like, people will look for people just sitting in their cars who are vulnerable, and then
they're also probably distracted. Yeah, and
to be under, like, that whole thing too. It's just like your worst nightmare of someone coming out from under your car to, like. I'll tell you what. I did leave Fit sometimes and go to my car like on Chestnut Street and feel super uncomfortable until I was in my car. Yeah. Or walk down at the end there, walk down Santa Malone and think like, this changed a little around
Well,
here.
that. Yeah.
A lot of
I'm sure you do this, but you get in the car and lock it immediately.
yes.
Yeah.
But then, like, they say, like, get where you're going and get out of the car. Do not
Yeah.
sit in your car. So I was like, that to me was like a gift because I do that all the time. I love sitting in my car. I do it in my garage all the time.
Well, that's different. That's
That's
allowed.
different. No,
That's allowed.
that's
Turn
different.
it off and close it.
He was waiting with a sock full of pennies. Like, no, in your garage is different. And I love sitting in my garage, in my car. I don't know why. It's like, I find it so comforting, but in other places, don't do it. But anyway, the other room, it's so, yeah. To wrap up, 20, according to criminology, 20 friends still celebrated Joey's birthday on 12. Think about it. She died on 12/12 and her birthday was 12/17 and her party was 12/15. So she was literally away. So they still celebrated. Her friends still dressed as Santa, like the mom's friends still dressed as Santa as a tribute. The school had a holiday concert with a moment of silence, and the class planted a tree. Her class planted a tree for her and sang "This Little Light of Mine," which was her favorite song.
Yeah.
There's never been an arrest or a killer or killers. The reporter Kevin Deutsch was never able to let go of the case and is writing a book, and he wants to bring closure. I know that, like, there's not really ever any closure, but he wants there to be a resolution of some sort. And because he says, like, not only were the victims tortured, but the families were tortured, and that he is haunted because he knows it so well. He believes that everything is connected. He believes that it's all connected. And then recently, I think it's Bronx Justice Center. I think that's the source. They revealed that the guy was also wearing the perpetrator was wearing a gun holster and driving gloves. And they say, like, he was relaxed and calm, and that even though the situation could change at any moment, he just seemed like really prepared. He had a kidnap kit, and that he was somehow able to move around in a very popular and populated mall parking lot in the daytime without attracting any attention.
Yeah, it almost seems like he had some kind of tactical training.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
Like when I read Michelle McNamara's book, I'll Be Gone in the Dark, about Golden State Killer, and some, like, knowing what we know now, but when I was reading it before they had caught him, I'd be like, that's some army/cop shit.
Yeah.
That they're theorizing he's doing.
And I wonder if Randy was his first victim, I'm wondering if that's why he changed his MO to picking up a kid too, because you're not going to jump from a car and leave your kid behind.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then maybe leaving the car at another location just added more problems. Like, maybe he wanted to go back to the mall because he knew the camera situation there. People were surprised at how little protection. Like, this is a very exclusive mall, and they were surprised that there was, like, no security cameras.
Yeah.
And then I didn't add it on my list, but, like, they did a thing afterwards of seeing, like, all the crimes that happened in this parking lot over, like, whatever period. And it was, like, astounding. It wasn't like kidnappings, but it was like theft, fights, like all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like, I had no idea that was I'm such a naive person. I really am. Every time I hear something, I'm like, what? I had no idea that mall parking lots were such a hotbed of crime.
I mean, think about it. If you want to steal something, just go through the parking lot, flipping people's door handles, and you will probably come across one that's accidentally unlocked.
Right.
People do that in my neighborhood. They go up and down.
I'm so naive. I just, like, I see the world, like, I don't know why I study true crime so hard, and I know it so well, and yet I am so naive.
Because we think, I mean, as humans, we think that there are things that we can do to make us safe. I mean, we have to, completely safe.
Mm-hmm.
Not just safer, but, like, completely safe. And we have to, or else we'd lose our minds.
Right. I didn't walk under a ladder today. So.
Exactly.
And you think, like, you think broad daylight, I'm fine. And I, like, in my mind, I'm always like, the mall parking lot is so crowded. Like, at night, I do feel nervous, but in the day, I'm like, there's so many people out here, but you're not, like, it's false sense of security.
Yeah, you're never 1,000,000% safe. You're never all the way safe.
No, and that's
Even
why.
in your house, you could fall.
Right. You're right. You could drown in your chicken soup.
You
right?
could.
But I do feel safer now being home.
Yes.
Now
With
I know,
your
like,
alarm.
my grandma never wanted to hear that I was leaving the house ever.
Oh.
And so, like, she would always be like, "You're going where?" And now I kind of get it. Like,
Thanks for scaring the shit out of Harrison. Yeah, I mean, you promised me a scary one. That's a very scary one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, like, I don't know. My theory is, like, kind of like the reporters, that there's commonalities. There's nothing forensic, but, like, my brain wants there to be a story. Like, my brain wants it to make sense.
Right.
So it's connecting the three, but a lot of people feel like the first one is not connected to the other two. I don't necessarily feel like this stuff with her family has anything to do with.
I don't either.
I think they're just shitty people, like, allegedly shitty people. And I don't necessarily, like, there's enough commonality that makes me think it's worth thinking of them.
Yeah. I think so too.
And then
we're all glad you're not driving so far so often anymore. Yeah.
And then, it was in the Israel Keys book because the writer of that supposed, and a lot of people feel, that he would have been a prime candidate. He was tall. He sounds and looks like the description of the guy, and did have long hair at the time, though as many people who believe it's him say it's not, because he never struck in the same place twice.
Right. He's the murder kit guy, right? Who, like, buried a bunch of caches.
And they said that he would never have let the first woman lit, like, not the first woman, but the middle woman lit.
Right.
But honestly, when I read that, I think of him, and I don't know if it's just because, like, of the, like, that I was convinced by reading his book, not about, like, she didn't convince me in the book, but just by, like, the way he's revealed in the book. It does sound a lot like him in the calmness, in how planned he was, in the look, in the style of stuff he did, because he was a super dark person, and, like, what this guy did feels very dark, like, with the zip ties and then the goggles. It's really. And, like, I know that when they researched some of the goggles, some of them had originated in Oregon. And I know that, he originally lived there. And so I know that a lot of people think it's not him. I mean, who knows? I mean, because he didn't do something once, he was an experimenter. So, and it was 2007. So who knows where that was in his repertoire. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, all I know is that we have no idea.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't rule anything out.
So before, when you said when it comes up in other podcasts as part of something else, is it always the Israel Keys story, or are there others?
No, the only time it was an Israel Keys thing, I think, was the book. And then it came up in, like, 2 other podcasts that I remember, but it was like another story that, oh, by the way, this is a thing that also happened. And I honestly don't remember, because at the time, the first time I heard it, I was just blown away by the story. It's scary.
It's so scary. It's so scary.
And then the second time, same thing. I was kind of like, oh, I heard this story before. So I don't really I hate that I don't have the memory of, like, where I heard it, but it's honestly terrifying. To me, this is one of the most terrifying. And that's, I think, why I link it to Israel Keys in my brain too, because he's terrifying to me. Like, most serial killers are, but he was particularly terrifying because you don't necessarily know what all what you know that he did was absolutely terrifying. What you don't know.
Exactly.
So, like, and by the way, for those of you who I did a live show on Israel Keys, and if you're at all interested, there's a book called American Predator, and it is excellent, and I highly recommend it. That's about him. The True Crime Bullshit did a whole series, but I haven't listened to it just because, like, I just haven't listened to it. It's kind of hard to, like, dive deep into a serial killer. Like, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And I liked American Predator so much that I'm like, I'm okay with like that. I don't think I need to go further right now. But if you're interested, because also American Predator goes into like how they questioned him and like how they did the dives to find bodies. Like
Yeah.
it's much
Yeah.
more than just what he did, but it's also other stuff. But it's also dark. So if you don't like obviously true crime, what are you doing here?
Right. We're spooky bitches. We have weird, dark interests.
Yeah.
It's okay. We are all together.
I will put this on our page also, but they say like if you have any tips at all, you can call the Boca Raton.
Call them down in Boca.
Call them in Boca.
Call them.
At 561-338-1344, or you can call it into the local Crime Stoppers down there, which is 1-800-458-8477. So those are the two numbers for anyone. And the award is $400,000, which is like you could buy a quarter of a house in Boca.
You could buy one level of a Manayunk rebuild or gutted.
You can buy a garage.
Oh man, yeah.
I feel like it's weird because for a long time I thought of that as like a side story, and then I was like, wait, no, that's a whole story.
Right? Yeah, yeah, because it comes up as the side stories and like the other people's things, which might be why. I mean, that might be why it's getting overlooked too. It's getting overlooked. And it's just cold? Is it closed? Is it open?
I don't think it's closed, but they're very tight-lipped on it. And it happened in 2007, and we're in the hell year of
13 years.
So 13 years is a long time to sit.
Yeah. So when were the attacks again? What was the timeline? I know one was in April and one was in December of the same year.
It was March, and then 2 in August, if you count the Meisner Mall one.
Okay.
And then December.
So it was just 1 year. And then nothing that we know.
Nothing that we know. In my mind, you don't have a kidnap kit and get that good at kidnapping like in just 2 or 3. Not that it was good. I mean, he was good enough to have a kill kit and to have everything prepped and to know essentially what he was doing. So to me, it sounds like somebody who's done this before in other places.
Yeah.
I don't know if we just haven't heard of it, or.
And then why stop?
Unless he needed money, and that's the what. Like maybe like True Crime Garage said, like he does other crimes but needed money, so does. But then you would think like that's what I have a question like that I don't know anybody can answer, and it's like, if things like this happen in another state, I would think that they would say like, oh, this is what happened in Oklahoma. But maybe we don't know about those, or maybe they're finding them in different situations, so you don't put them together.
Yeah. I don't know how they do that. Well, I don't know. I feel like there are national databases now. And again, I'm going by cop shows and detective shows, but I feel like you could find related cases to see if there's an MO that matches, because then I don't know. I feel like that exists, but that doesn't mean it does.
That's what I mean. Like in my head, it's like, oh yes, the same thing happened in Missouri in 2011. But like,
if it's across state lines, isn't that also FBI? So the FBI should have a centralized kind of.
And maybe they do, but like, it just seems.
Is there a way to check with other states for the same MOs? Yeah, just what we were saying. I feel like
a true crime database that has all the crimes ever that we have permission to search, because I would put all there on that. But I feel like, there must be. I don't think we have access to it, but I'm so curious, because you can't tell me that this person, unless the last time they did it and they killed the 2 people, they just thought like, I don't want this kind of risk. I'm going to do something else.
Yeah. Because
it ended in, if this is the same person for 3, it ended in murder twice. So that's bad odds.
Right. If they don't want to kill people, they end up.
Yeah, because killing people adds a whole other layer. And there's no, I don't know what there is for kidnapping, but there is no, what do you call it? Timetable. What do you call it?
Statute of limitations
For
for
murder.
murder. Yeah. Also, I think maybe the goggles, and like the mean that he didn't want to kill them. I mean, at first I thought, okay, so he's just trying to like terrorize them,
Mhm.
and disorient them. But also, if you just want to kidnap them and then bring them back and not kill them, having the goggles be blacked out keeps them from taking in a lot of information.
Yeah.
So that could be why. Or he could just want to put them in the dark before he shoots them,
And it's
so they can't tell what's going to happen.
It's unclear whether he regrets letting the first woman go in August, and that's why he planned to kill them the whole time, or if she fought back. It seems like she fought
Right.
back, so I don't know. But yeah, it does seem like somebody like this wouldn't just do it for a year and stop.
Right.
But they might change their MO to suit them better. And Florida is a very transient place, so even from county to county in Florida is like a different world. Like Miami-Dade is super different than like, my brother lives up in the Tampa area. It's like night and day to me. So I feel like most people who live in Florida are transplants. So maybe this person was just there and now is somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then God knows, and then you would have to rely on him. So if he didn't change his MO, you would have to rely on the people investigating whatever crime to put together,
to look it up
and to put the pieces together. But I would tend to think he probably changed some things, I'm guessing.
Yeah. But those goggles, the tying down and the goggles seem really specific. Here's the cat again.
And kidnapping people with kids.
Right. And the black cars.
Yes. That's so weird too. Like, why a black car? I know that like Nancy's was tinted so people couldn't see. I'm not Nancy's. Jane Doe's was tinted. I don't know about the other ones, but a lot of cars in Florida are tinted.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And they were all like high-end cars. They weren't just like.
So they were people who could easily just give you money.
Yeah. In theory, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, look at Randy. She had a Mercedes SUV and lived in a $2 million house and didn't have an ATM card.
True. So. My mother didn't have one until like 5 years ago because she thought it was wasteful. It would cause you to waste money.
Mm-hmm.
She's like,
now I'm like, I don't want anything on me.
I know.
No, but that's to get you killed. Maybe just take it. Just take everything. Yeah. So it's like, I do feel like it could be solved, but I feel like the investigation really, like if you have a task force that falls apart soon after, you're not doing your job. It feels like, and if you're not, I also feel like nowadays, if you're not sharing at least a little bit of more information with the public after this much time.
Yeah.
Why?
If there's a lot more that's relevant or enlightening to share.
Yeah. I mean, they've been investigating for 12 years and haven't really shared anything new. So you feel like maybe they don't have it. But the sister of Nancy gave the police a photo of Joey to carry around.
Yeah.
And she also said that she calls all the time and they always tell her nothing new. So.
Well, at least she's calling so they know someone is.
Yeah. And like we know, you need an advocate. They have strong advocates in Nancy's circle is very strong. Randy's mother and daughter are very strong advocates, and then also this reporter is extremely on it. So luckily, people are keeping it alive, and hopefully, because it's just it's awful, and it's awful what happened to Nancy and Joey. It's absolutely devastating. It's devastating what happened to all of them, and I would never want that for another person. The mall did install cameras.
They did.
Thank God. Like, what the hell? It's and they said, like, what's scary is that people probably go to that mall and felt very safe, and then weren't. So, and then imagine that you didn't know. Imagine that you didn't know there was an abduction, that you were a mom who took their kid there all the time and didn't know there was an abduction in August until somebody got killed.
Right. And what if you were there at the same time? God.
I would be furious. Oh my God, yeah. I would be beside myself if I found that out, like at my mall that I always took Jude to. Because another thing, like as a young mom, when I didn't have anything to do and I didn't want to just sit around the house, I would take Jude to the mall and walk around.
Yeah. In the middle of the day.
That's what you do.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
pretzel, and he sits in his stroller and you just look at stuff, and that's how you make your day go by. And you know.
Yeah. No, I know. It's really scary.
Mhm.
It's really scary.
Malls are dying though, so
Yeah, I'm sure he's somewhere else now.
yeah.
Maybe that's why he stopped, because malls started to die.
Maybe.
He was like, oh crap.
You know,
the
those
mall."
outdoor malls, it should be mandatory. Yeah, it really should. There should just, I mean, I know like privacy, but like in public places like that where
If you the insurance policy writer could make it mandatory.
Mhm.
Like,
Just
if you know
because
that.
in especially now that I know what happens in parking lots, I'm like,
Right.
don't ever go to a parking lot.
Check under your car before you get out of it. Do a little like under the
I'm gonna
thing.
get a like, what do you call it? Like a Barney Rubble door, like where I put your feet.
Oh, right.
Where I can look through, like a clear bottom car,
Like a glass bottom boat.
and then mirrors everywhere.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's yeah.
$200 handy to throw it.
Right. Oh man. Yeah. What a good story though. I mean, not like good, but
No, it's
how fascinating.
yeah, it's so fascinating to me, and I wish they could solve it. It would just, I think, give a lot of people relief if it would give me.
No one will ask you for money if you drive an old car. Yeah.
Yeah, my car's a piece of shit. I'm gonna keep it until it just dies. But then you have to worry about it breaking down and then someone kidnapping you on the side of the road. It never ends.
Yo, drive a stick. That's great. Someone tries to steal your car, they're like, fuck, I can't drive this.
When you're a woman, it's just, I feel like, maybe I'm being sexist, but when you're a woman, I feel like the fear never ends of all the
because
things.
yeah, we're raised with all of the checklists.
Yeah.
That you have to do, or else it's your fault.
Yeah. Right, because the men aren't going to stop raping.
Right.
It's your fault to not be a victim.
Right. Like that's at the end of the day. Right. When you realize that that's at the bottom of it, that it's like, listen, men are just going to murder you. It's up to you to make them not want to. It's up to you to make sure he murders the other girl.
Yeah. You went to the mall and you have a nice car. So.
Right. It's so infuriating. It's so infuriating.
How about don't murder?
There was a meme going around TikTok very recently of dudes, because one of the dudes got asked the experiment in one of his classes, I guess, where the teacher was like, men, if there were no women in the world, like what would you do? And they're like, oh, whatever. And then she was like, women, if there were no men in the world, what would you do? And the women were like, we'd go outside at night.
Yeah.
We'd leave our keys in our purse instead of putting them through our fingers. And the dude's mind was like so blown that he put it on TikTok, and then there's all these other guys on TikTok that are like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would go anywhere, anytime, and not worry.
I could wear my hair in a ponytail and put my headphones in and go for a run.
Yeah. Yep. It's sad. It's really sad. And it's sad that we're taught as females not to be victims. Like, we're trained how not to be victims.
Yeah.
Yeah, no men being abducted from malls or anywhere, damn. But it's true. Like I said last time, there's no female militia planning to kidnap somebody and overthrow the government.
Right.
It's just
we're too busy.
I don't want to chase away our male viewers, but I do want people to be like, oh,
they know. I feel like our dudes, the ones that are in the chat, I know are cool.
And anyone who gets it. Like, we're just saying, don't be the most terrible person. Don't rape. Don't.
The bar is so low.
Don't
it's so low,
right?
So low.
Don't be a dick. Like, just be a human being. Like, just be a good human being.
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah,
it's it.
And don't. I think I told you that story about how I was walking that one time from what is it called? Where we have the Chim Cham Headlong. And I I could hear somebody's walking like too close behind me.
Mm-hmm.
So I turned around. Like I don't know why that's my
I love this story.
My gut thing is to always turn around because I just think, I guess if you're going to murder me, look me in the eyes, I guess. Yeah. And so I whip around and this guy goes, "I'm gay."
I love this story. Oh my God.
He immediately realized
that
he was scaring me.
Right.
And that he was walking too close, but had no concept of it because it's not something he even thinks about or worries.
He might think about it a little bit.
Now,
as a gay person, like you have to, you do. I mean, you do the calculus of looking out.
Yeah,
you know.
I'm sure he's thinking about it in a different way, but I'm sure he didn't think female alone. I'm walking too close to her.
Right.
But as soon as I like turned and stared at him, you see the recognition in his face, and I love that his reaction was, "I'm gay." I laughed and I laughed because
bless him. Like, he's a real one.
I was like, why don't you just go ahead of me? Because like clearly he had to get somewhere fast, and I was fine with it. But I was just like, it's fine. It'll make me feel better to not hear like, because like God knows, turn off, and then someone else could, and be shuffling behind me. I just didn't want Mom. So like he was trying to say like I'm not going to hurt like
I'm not a rapist.
Yeah.
No, that's not what he was saying.
Yeah, he was talking about rape.
Yeah. Yeah. He wouldn't, yeah.
And so like, just the look in my eyes. It was so funny because we had that moment of recognition and we both got it. Like, and we learned a lesson that night. And that was don't walk too close.
Just tell every woman on a dark sidewalk that you're gay.
Right. What if that was his trick? Yeah. Ooh. And I was like, oh, phew. And then he was like, psych. And then
let your guard down. Guess what? I'm bi and a rapist.
I was just like, go ahead in front of me, please.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God. And then the where is it? At one time, I forget where, but Nick, oh my God, I almost said Nick Cannon. What is wrong with my brain? Nick Cannon.
You know Nick Cannon?
I don't. But Nick Gillette was trying to get to his car from somewhere, and he was like, well, there was a murder, so there was like tape around where my car was. It's like, the city is crazy.
Anywhere is crazy.
Anywhere is crazy. Like I said, it happened here with the person trying to get into somebody's car. And then somebody way before I lived here was, I think, murdered on one of the roads. But it's like, you don't know. You just don't know.
Behind my house, like a little bit behind, like not this block behind, but like the next block behind, and maybe one up or down, I don't know, was that one where the person got shot with a shotgun like 12 times and then crashed their car into the garage, and the garage caught on fire.
Oh my God.
I heard that. I was in my house. And it just sounded like bang, 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 bang. And I was like, that's weird. I thought someone was like doing construction at night, like pounding on something. And I was like, who is pounding on something? That sounds so weird. Like, what is that? I remember looking out into my backyard because that's where it was coming from, like that direction. Come to find out, Jeffrey Dahmer was both gay and an abductor. Yes, but he also, it's not that.
I wasn't worried about being abducted or killed.
Right. We were taught to fear the rapist.
Yeah. Also, he was telling me, like, I'm not attracted to you on any level, as if rape is about that, and it's not. But it was just, I think it was his way of trying to tell me that he was safe and not going to hurt me.
Right. If you think too much about it, it gets problematic.
Yeah. Like, if you really break it down,
it's terrible.
From like a mile away, it totally made sense.
Right. Like the meaning was clear to both of you.
We both communicated what we needed to.
That's the magic.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh boy.
Thanks. I never thought about the fact that he might be a cannibal, but thanks, Lou.
And Dahmer abducted dudes.
Yeah, that's true.
He didn't do women.
He's terrifying. I can't do Jeffrey Dahmer. He's terrifying.
I once every noun in this and verb in this sentence is going to be a mistake, and I know it. But so just understand that I realize it now. One time, when I had a large crush on Jeremy Renner, I know, problematic already. I know. I watched the terrible film in which he played Jeffrey Dahmer.
He played Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes. So that's
There's a lot.
me.
Everything is wrong with that sentence.
Every single thing is a terrible decision that I now regret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. If you could write a sentence that was just filled with wrong.
If I could write the most embarrassing sentence of my life, that's the most embarrassing sentence of my life.
Now we all know you have a crush on Jeremy Renner.
Oh, well, no, he opened his mouth in real life, and now I don't anymore. Oh, speaking of podcasts, and this is on our Twitter, but it's a while back, so you'd have to scroll. There is a podcast series that is doing a deep dive into the Jeremy Renner app.
Oh.
Did you hear? Okay, it was.
I'm like not. Jeremy Renner is not even on my radar. I forgot he was a person.
It's just. It's not about him so much as it's like it's a kind of a very online person story, but like he started the app and then it was really nice and then like people invaded it and made it terrible and then he would jump in and yell about the comment. It became a whole thing. There's like a BuzzFeed investigation of what happened with the app and he like shut it down and it was a big deal. And then if you
has an app.
Oh yeah. I didn't know until this whole thing, until it like started to blow up. And yeah, it's, oh my
mom
God.
said she's never going alone at night again.
Well, good. There's a plague.
I mean, I think it's fine. I think for the most part it's fine. And I think, like honestly, the chances of a stranger abduction, a stranger murder, like all those things are very, very low. It's just that, when if you're going to come to the party, you're going to have to wear the party hat and throw the glitter. It's just going to happen. If you want to watch true crime, you're going to learn that there's just
right.
total shit out there.
Right. If you want to support your daughter in her endeavor, you're going to hear terrifying stories that make you hate the outside world.
But you also can't be afraid of everything and never go out because that's sort of not the point either.
Right.
I think it's middle. I think being aware is good. And like, I think that if anything, this stuff has given me an awareness that things can go wrong. And so you're just have a heightened sense of
and warning signs and how other people have escaped stuff or acted in situations. Look at Dirty John, the end of Dirty John. And this is a spoiler, but she was able to fight him off when he was attacking her because she remembered it from The Walking Dead.
Right.
Like,
right.
And then there's a joke. I forget what the comedian is. She's like, women don't watch true crime. They're researching.
Yeah.
They're doing research.
Yeah. And I think it's also just good to know. Yeah. It's good to know. And like, I've learned even from, but I still sleep at night. Don't want that to be.
That's good.
I think, like even just knowing like how Jane Doe, even her story is important because she followed the rules and did what she could. And, it could have very easily turned a different way, but there's something to be taken from that. And I think it's also good just to like know that these things happen and advocate. Like I always say it, but to advocate for other people. I mean, these like Nancy and Joey have their people and they are advocating for them, but I just think it's good to know, like support people who have been victims and just say like, this shit happens, like we're here listening, we're not going to just ignore it. And you're important. And the fact that you're not here anymore is important. And
exactly
talk about it and let people know this shit. Not only does this shit happen, but let people know that you have a community of people that will support you.
And believe you, like that the one woman, they didn't believe her.
No, that she was not believed.
They didn't believe her, yeah.
And
that crime people believe you.
And I think that led to Nancy's death. I think I'm not saying that it's not the police's fault, but they really, really put other people in serious danger. And you think maybe like a part of me thinks like, was there another Jane Doe that didn't come forward?
Right.
because he did say, like, if you call the police, you tell them I'm or I'll
Right,
kill
right.
you. If you have a son like me, I even thought to myself, gosh, I don't know, would I want to call the police? Like, she was brave for going to police and telling the real story, because somebody
Yeah.
might say, like, hey, I don't want this person coming after me. They were in my car. They have access to, like, who, like, they know my
Right,
license. They probably could find me again.
right, right.
So if that's the case, there might be more people out there. And so, like,
Probably, yeah.
telling a story like this gives them
Yeah,
maybe, like, that woman, the woman at the other mall wasn't going to say any, like, didn't want to file a report until she heard about somebody else, and then she filed.
right,
So
right.
there might be other women, because March to December, who knows? I'm just, I
Yeah.
always think it's good to put stuff out there and also scare the shit out of yourself.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're never going to be 100% safe. We do what we can,
Mhm.
and the rest you just gotta, you gotta let go of.
Mhm. I mean, there's a deadly pandemic, so
Right.
the world,
Kidnapping.
the world is right now on fire. So basically,
Right.
everything you do is, like, might kill you
Right.
right
Like,
now.
if I get murdered in a mall parking lot, I will not have died of COVID. So there's that. Like,
You probably have a bigger chance of dying from COVID.
definitely do, yeah.
One time I was at a concert with my ex, with Mike, and I was we were in the front we were by the stage, and I was looking out at all the people, and I was like, how many people do you think will be murdered here tonight? And he was like, none. How many
Here
people do you think
tonight?
will be murdered? I was like, I don't know, a lot. And he was like, no.
No.
I was like, oh, I thought like 20 people here would be murdered tonight. And he was like, absolutely not. So, like, it's actually better than I think.
Sounded like he didn't object to her talking, but he just didn't want the true description. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But other people might have been like, I'm not saying a word.
Right.
Like that woman, like I said, that woman in the parking lot who got held up and didn't want to file a report until the other woman died. But there might be people who are like, and who knows, maybe he said, don't call the police. After the last woman in August,
Yeah.
maybe he's like, don't call the police or I'll kill you.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would, like, honestly, like, I probably would, but I don't know 100%. If someone had a gun to my son, I don't know how and said, I'll come back for you. I honestly don't
Right.
know. Even though
yeah.
I probably wouldn't, I don't know that I would.
It would be a calculation, which means that he got what he wanted.
Yeah.
At least a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
But I would be scared. I would have reservations.
Yeah.
And like, maybe I should be embarrassed to say that, but it's not right. It's not
human to be afraid when you are in danger. It's, yeah. I mean, you do have to protect yourself.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So we should probably, next time, if anyone wants to watch this episode after it's over, we should probably say the scariest, one of the scariest crimes we've ever talked about.
Yeah. I'll tease it that way when I do socials tomorrow. But yeah, this was really scary.
I wonder if dudes find it as terrifying.
I don't know. Dudes.
Dudes. Are there any left?
The only time I want a man's opinion. I wonder
if it's terrifying, like, for like them thinking of their loved ones, but I think it's got to be definitely terrifying on a different.
Right.
If you're a dad, you would never want this to happen to your significant other or child, but
you have the same visceral terror as imagining it happening to yourself. Yeah. I mean, that's a thing that humans do with every kind of any kind of descriptor that doesn't match.
Yeah,
we can if we don't, it's possible to. You don't have to, and it's not automatic, because you definitely can empathize, but it's less automatic.
Well,
so what are you going to go do now to listen to more murders to make this feel better?
Oh, I am going to. I usually watch like reruns of like Modern Family is my comfort show, so I might watch a Modern Family, and I have to read something for tomorrow, but like something not crime related. It's from the disability section of the New York Times.
Oh,
My
wow.
class is going to be talking about. They read essays from there after they watched Crip Camp, so we're talking about.
Oh, I love Crip Camp. Crip Camp is so good. Actually, AOC on her Instagram story.
What's that? I'm sorry.
AOC on her Instagram story, she just ran into people from those or that organization or like related organizations down in DC still protesting the Supreme Court hearings.
Yeah.
And two of them were from Philly that gave their names.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
Honestly, if you haven't seen Crip Camp, it's honestly, I think I've talked about this before, but I sobbed the whole way through only because I was so moved by the people in it. I thought they were just beautiful people and like supportive of one another in that community. Like that camp was like just a beautiful moment in time. And so like, we're so lucky to have that footage. And I just felt like I just cried at how beautiful everybody was. I was like so moved.
It's great.
So good. And it opened your eyes to people with disabilities and how they suffer in terms of like powerlessness, justice.
Yeah, that's a privilege that can be very invisible to people who don't have disabilities because it's incredibly invisible to us because the world is made to accommodate us.
Mm-hmm.
As two people who wear glasses, though, that glasses are a huge accommodation.
Yeah.
And that society has just decided is acceptable and normal and covered by insurance like automatically. And, you know, everyone gets it. And everything else could be that way.
Yeah.
There's no reason.
Right.
We just need the will.
Right. And yeah. And so it runs the gamut, like talk about mental health care. Like that is a total mess. And it's not people with mental health problems or issues are not taken seriously or expected to adapt or expected to just live out in the world and figure it out. From there to down to people with wheelchairs who literally can't get from A to B because nobody is thinking about that.
We'll say bye to your mom is going to run.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, Mom. See you Friday. Have an awesome rest of your week.
But yeah, like that kind of stuff is like, if you don't think you take it for advantage, you take it. I think we do this no matter what. If we're talking about culture, race, disability, you take your position for granted, or you tend to, and you forget all of the ways in which other people are missing out and suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget what I saw Chris Gethard at what was it? Good theater.
Okay.
And he was just saying, like, he was like talking about the zombie apocalypse, and he was like, "You think you guys are going to survive it?" And he's like, "Well," he's like, "Do you wear glasses? Because you're not going to survive it." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And he was like, "Do you take medication?"
Right.
To survive it. And I was like, "Oh my God,
I'm going to be super depressed."
Depressed, and I'm not going to be able to read anything.
And my thyroid is acting up.
So like, you're going to be like, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'll be depressed and I'll just be like wanting to sleep. And you'll be like, zombies are coming. And I'm like, but I'm tired.
I'll get up later. It's fine.
Just let them eat my face. It's fine. Yeah. So it was just that like was a highlight moment. I was like, yeah, I'll survive the apocalypse. I'm tough. And then it was like, do you wear glasses? And I was like, oh shit.
Right. You realize all of the accommodations that have been made by society that yeah.
What are you gonna do to blow off this junk?
I think I have another episode of The Vow, and I'm slightly behind on Great British Bake Off.
How's The Haunting of Bly House? Because I want to watch it.
We finished it last night.
I didn't start it. Is it good?
So good. So good.
Is it as good as the first one? Like the house of
right, Haunting of Hill House.
Thank you.
I didn't find the twists as I don't think I found them as twisty. I called a couple of them.
Okay.
And I think it was not like sad, but like the very emotional moments of Hill House. There were fewer of those, and I don't think they were as impactful, but it's very good. It's very good.
I kind of appreciate that though, because I don't like to cry. And so if I know I'm going to cry, I'll put something off. But if I know I'm not going to cry, perfect. I didn't cry at Hill House for a while. And then as it progressed, I got more and more to the last episode. I was
yes,
sobbing.
with Nell when she's like, everything else is confetti. Yeah. So Harrison, thank you so much for saying Floor is Lava. Floor is Lava is amazing.
Never saw it.
It is amazing. It's on Netflix. It's basically it's Double Dare. They have to get through an obstacle course, but the floor is lava.
It's amazing.
They take it so seriously. The announcer takes it so seriously.
Love that.
It's so ridiculous. I love it so much. It also made me very anxious. I'm sitting there with my big old glass of wine. I'm like, no, the lava. Like, don't pull that rope. That's a bad idea. It like if you want to get, I'm not like riled up, but like if you really want to be like about something inconsequential, Floor is Lava is perfect. I love it. I love it so much. Oh my god,
you do need those like distraction shows. Like I need something where I can just not think.
Oh my god, you need to watch.
That's what I need at night. At night, I don't do anything where I need to think. Like I mean, like TV wise.
Right.
It's all junk.
Oh my god.
Because
Please watch Floor is Lava. Please
yeah,
watch it.
I have to. Except I do watch Colbert every night, but even though I'm like thinking, I'm like feeling better. He makes me feel better.
Right.
I don't like anything heavy at night because I don't sleep well as it is. I don't need to like. And then probably tonight I'm gonna have like I had uncomfortable dreams last night because I was like working on this. So hopefully I won't be dreaming of mall murders tonight.
Dreaming about lava.
I'll dream about lava.
Yeah. And we will be on again on Friday. Same time. I'm going to make cookies. Someone from my Instagram sent me a recipe that I've never made before. So it's going to be interesting.
And we'll just talk about whatever we've been watching, seeing, true criming.
If you notice something that you want to talk about, bring it, put it in the chat. If you have a podcast or a doc recommendation, we would love to hear them. In the meantime, we are on Twitter, Facebook, Insta at Crime and Cookies.
That's right.
So, all right. Good night, Gina.
Good night. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye.